Welcome inside Oracle Arena. It is game time, live at the finals, presented by YouTube TV. Even at one, it's happened 38 times, 31 times. The winner of Game 3 has won it all. Casey Stern, C-Web, the Jet, and Shaq. A lot from the desk, but first let's talk about the list of folks who might need some Shaq, some icy hot. Let's look at the latest on the Warriors' injuries. KD, he's officially out for Game 3. Steve Kerr saying at media availability, guys, that he ramped up activities, but there's no timetable. Right now, all that's TBD for KD. So we know he's done for this game. Meanwhile, the man they call Loon has been anything but. Offensive boards, energy, efficiency. Kevon Looney so huge in the last series. Unfortunately, the news yesterday, officially, he is out for the rest of the finals, will not return. But what about Klay Thompson? A gasp out in this area and across Twitter for sure when this happened. The hamstring injury and leaving Game 2. Would Klay play in Game 3 and the rest of the series? It relates to the hamstring because that's an injury certainly you don't want to push too far too soon. ESPN report saying just moments ago, guys, that the Warriors don't want him to play. Klay is lobbying to do so. He said, as you heard in the open, 80% of Klay better than 100% of someone else. We'll get that in a second. 100% of our crew now in pretty boxes there on the screen. We'll hear from Allie LaForce on the Raptors side in just a second. But we've got Jared Greenberg with more on Klay Thompson and the health situation with the Dubs. Hi, Jared.
Hey, Casey. Since 2013, only LeBron James has played more total playoff minutes and more consecutive games in the postseason than Klay Thompson. Craziest part about that is that it's not come without injury. Klay's got a history of suffering setbacks during the postseason. Go back to Game 1 of last year's NBA Finals. Klay suffers a high ankle sprain in the first quarter. He called that much worse than what he's got right now with that hamstring strain. Klay
slide tackle
did not miss a game in the NBA Finals last year. Now you go back to 2015. Klay entered the NBA Finals with a concussion-like protocol because he received stitches in his ear after getting hit in the head in the Western Conference Finals. Now, everyone talks about his toughness. He said, although he wants to play and he wants to be out there, if there's any pain, he understands it's a no-go because he doesn't want to cost the team any further games later on in this series. Klay Thompson, if he is to warm up, and it is not yet confirmed if he will do so, that will happen in about an hour from now at 5:05 local time, right behind me on the court. Let's go underneath the arena. For more on the Toronto Raptors, here's Allie LaForce.
Hey, thank you, Jared. The Golden State Warriors haven't played a game here at Oracle Arena in 19 days. It's certainly an eye-opening statistic, but perhaps the more eye-opening one is the fact that Kawhi Leonard has not played a game here at Oracle Arena since May 14th, 2017. It was the Western Conference Finals. He was with the Spurs. He came down awkwardly, as you'll see here, on that ankle, suffered the injury, and the team blew a 23-point lead. I asked him yesterday, do any emotions come back to you when you're back in this building for the first time? And he said no, that he hadn't even thought about it. He said it's been 2 years, and every single day, all he's thinking about is winning the finals. Of course, he's moved on from that ankle injury and now dealing with quad soreness and knee soreness, which he definitely feels on a daily basis, but he says he's able to block it out, and he doesn't think about it once the ball is tipped. He also knows that he's facing a more banged-up Warriors team who happen to be the defending champions, and there are no excuses at this point in the season. Injuries are going to be everything for the outcome of this Game 3. I will talk to Steve Kerr in just a few minutes to hopefully get an update on Klay Thompson. You look at this Toronto team, and one thing they do have going for them is the fact that they have the second best road record in the regular season and playoffs combined in the last 3 years. But the Warriors have won 6 straight finals games at home. It's easier said than done. Injuries will be a big part of it. Casey.
Allie, thank you very much. We'll have more from Allie, as she said, speaking of both coaches, and from Jared as we go on. Guys, let me open up with this, and that is the talk yesterday of a hamstring. Talk to the point of, guys, Webb not being a pain threshold situation, but more of the fear of if he goes out too quick, especially defensively on instinct, makes a quick cut, that you could tear it even worse, and then you get in a situation where you're out for the finals.
Yeah, well, to me, it's about the severity of the hamstring. I've really never seen anyone come back from a halfway serious hamstring. So I'd be interested, especially as how much he moves on the court, to see how fluid he is. But I would be surprised if Klay comes out and is his normal self. But as he said, hey, you get 80% of me. That's better than most guys, and I don't fight him on that.
I want to attack what Kawhi Leonard said. He said he didn't realize what had happened, but him getting twisting his ankle here when Zaza Pachulia, that's impossible. He hasn't played here since May 19th, 2 years ago. And if that never happens, the course of basketball and where he is would be totally different. He would not be in Toronto if that didn't happen. DeMar DeRozan would still be a Toronto Raptor if that didn't happen. He would have never been upset with Popovich if that didn't happen. So for me, I just don't believe that he hasn't thought about that, Shaq.
Well,
the whole course of what's going on.
I understand what you're saying. I understand
because
what you're
of
saying.
that one play.
I understand what you're saying, but if Charles Barkley was skinny, he'd be a supermodel. So we know that's not going to happen. Right. But, to answer your question, hamstring injuries are different for big guys and little guys. Let me explain. Big guys like myself and C-Webb, we're just going like this. But the lateral movements, what's going to get you. Clay comes off screens, and he's always cutting, he's always moving. So, again, if you make a one wrong thrust, then, you could possibly, do more damage. But I like his attitude.
Yeah, I do too.
He wants to play. Let him play.
But that's the amazing thing about this run is that, you 5 years, injuries happen. And that's why even LeBron going 8 years, you say you're playing over 100 games every year, things like this happen. And so to be in the finals and still be here, that's what's amazing about Golden State. But again, Kawhi Leonard is lying to us.
Well, first of all, if you want to try and explain Kawhi Leonard, I think Dr. Phil, there is a show, The Doctors, it's not here. But here's Clay talking about what you guys were saying. That heart, he's got that compete level. The only guy who's ever had a longer stretch of postseason games without missing one, LeBron James, 120 games in a row for Clay. Here's what he said yesterday.
Obviously, I'll do anything I can to be out there, but it's all in their hands, and if there's any pain, it'll be a no-go just because of the position we're in. This could be a longer series, so there's no point in trying to go out there and re-aggravate it and potentially keep myself out of the whole entire finals instead of just one game. So, like I said, it'll be a game-time decision, but I really want to be out there.
One of the things discussed a lot yesterday, guys, was, as Shaq, you said, coming around screens, but also defensively, because he takes on so much of that, and you don't know how to. You can slow yourself down on offense a little bit because you control it, right? On defense, not so much. Let's take a look at, with our perimeter defender, Shaquille O'Neal, the defense that Clay has been playing, and if they lose that aspect, how big a deal, Shaq, it could be.
Yeah, look, he always steps up to the challenge. Whoever the best player is, or whoever's at that position, he wants to guard him. He wants to guard him one-on-one. He's always moving. He's always in the passing lane. He's always in his spot. And look, he plays great. And that's why I was upset when he wasn't on an all-NBA team, because he does, offensively he's great, defensively he's great. He steps up to the challenge. And look, he plays. You don't want help right here playing Kawhi. That's great defense right there. Move your feet, take the bump, and get out and run. But again, he's putting double stress on that hamstring. Like if he was just an offensive player, like it's just, stress one way. But now you got to guard too, and you got to guard Kawhi, who also is herky-jerky. And one wrong herky-jerky move, you'll be out for the rest of the playoffs.
And that's why I doubt he plays tonight. I just think that I love his heart, and if I'm him, I want to be out here too. But I think the team needs to talk to him and say, we're gambling one game versus the rest of the series. And so I know he wants to be out there, but let me just say this. I think he's the most disrespected player, and Shaq said he should be on an All-NBA team, but he's the most disrespected player, one of the most in the league, because he shoots so well, we don't even consider him a two-way player. He's been the best perimeter defender, including over Draymond Green, because Draymond switches on to everybody, but the best perimeter defender, and he has to check the best two guards every night, and I just think that gets lost. And he wants to. And his shooting, I think, is so pretty that we forget about that.
Yeah, I think if you're Steve Kerr or Bob Myers, you just put it in the hands of the doctors. And you go, can he play? If they tell you can play, then he goes on the floor.
If he gets hurt, what do you do to the doctors after that game?
But you have to. That's how you have to trust. You have to say, because if you're a coaching staff, you can't dictate maybe game 3, game 4. Can you play? All right, he's on the floor. And if he's not helping us, I'm taking him off. And if he's helping us, I'm keeping him on. I think you have to, I think my thought process at teams that I've been on, I think that's how you have to think as a coaching staff and as management. You have to say, the player and the doctor have talked, there's the risk, this is the information that we have back. If he's shooting up, I'm playing Klay Thompson like Klay Thompson is healthy.
I agree, Kenny, but don't we always, when the trainers come to us, our job is to lie and to say.
Right, but that's why it's the doctor's job to decipher all of that.
I was just about to ask you, from a competitor nature, the three of you, I know, certainly you're never going to tell a doctor in a spot, right, Shaq, where you have a finals
I play
game.
with guys. I play with guys that did say I don't want to play.
But Clay wouldn't be one of those, right? But Clay wouldn't be one of those.
I play with guys.
If you look at the three competitors up here, see Webb walks funny, played through injuries. I walk funny, got to get 2 hip surgeries in the near future. I played through pain. Kenny, the way he walks with his knees touching to the board, he plays. So again, at this moment, we want to play. We want to be involved with excitement. You know, the doctors may even say, hey, if you make a wrong move, you tear it. We don't want to hear that right now. We're 1-1. I can go out here and then, because see, what you don't counter in is the adrenaline factor, especially at home. You know, when you run in and, you know, you hit that first basket and you hit, you don't really even think about the pain. So, again, you know, it's up to Clay, but, you know, some people say he shouldn't play. Some people say he should play. It's up to Clay. Whatever Clay wants to do, I'm behind him.
There's pain, there's injury, and there's 2 different things. Like, if you're injured, you shouldn't play. But if you have pain, you can play. And I think that the discomfort or pain, sometimes you can get through that. But when you're injured,
with the help of
with the help of just
icy hot.
No, I'm just saying with the help of
just getting ready. Man up. You got pain, come see me. Man up with icy hot.
But functionally, when it's not working, things aren't moving functionally, you're injured. So if he can't move, then he's injured. But if he can run, jump.
Let me ask you something, Kenny.
But if you have pain and you decide to play, don't favor it because you could hurt something else.
And make it worse because you're favoring it.
Yes. If you have pain, you decide to play, you have to totally forget about the pain. Don't even think about it.
Now, I know Shaq laid everybody out here and said they walk funny except me. But skating, not sure necessarily. I know Chuck's a hockey guy. He's not here, though. Here's PK Subban. Says, had to bring the jacket. Cali going to get a little chilly tonight. Will the North come out west and grab a lead with a win in game number 3 of the series? The future's so bright, gotta wear shades.
You know how I thought that was? Carlos Boozer.
Presented by YouTube TV continues as we are even heading into game 3. One of the big stories from game number 2. High school basketball coaches everywhere saying, hey, look, I do that. Meanwhile, Steph on the other side calling it janky. A lot of conversation about that box and one. So how about it, Kawhi?
Probably not. I mean, Clay definitely wasn't on the floor at that time. There's no telling when KD's going to come back either. So I don't think it will work.
It was kind of a shocker. You know, when they threw that out there with 7, 8 minutes to go in the game, something that we hadn't saw. You know, we've seen it now, so I plan on dicing it up if they throw it out there again.
In 9th grade, a team played one against me, so very proud to announce that. I had a box and one just like Steph, so janky defenses have been going on for a long time. What does janky mean anyway? I'm not exactly sure.
You look at the numbers.
Shots fired.
Sometimes the surprise element of anything, because it's something they haven't seen, hadn't prepared for, that and the fact that Clay was off the floor, and it seemed to give some troubles. But I want to go and we're going to look at what they did. Kenny, when you take us through kind of the video, first of all, how surprised were you that Nick Nurse or any coach not only tried to use this element, but in the finals to bring it out, and then take us through the video of how effective it was?
Well, it's basically a zone. They played a 3-2 zone against Giannis, and that was effective. So this was a different type of zone that you're playing because the other 4 guys are playing in areas of the floor. So if you look at those 4 guys, they're just playing an area of floor. And the one thing about your traditional basketball is you have to see ball, you, and man. But when you're playing a box and run like Van Fleet is, you're not worrying about anyone but one man. And you're playing an area of the floor, the other 4 guys. And that area of the floor is mine. And then when the primary guy, when Steph Curry's in your area, then we double team him. Because now it's a double team because he's in my area as well as the guy who's playing a box and one. Every junior high school, every high school, every even college have seen this at some point. I'm just glad that Steve Kerr was smart enough to say, Steph, not to say, Steph, go stand in the corner while they play a box and one. But I'm not surprised that they play the type of zone because what Steph Curry is, he's the pace setter. And so when you take away the pace setter and don't allow him to set the pace, for those other guys, it does make things much more difficult.
Shaq, you're shaking your head like you think it's Bush League?
Well, I don't want to call it Bush League, but I thought it was a mistake. Zones are usually for teams that can't shoot. Golden State, the best shooting team in the league.
But they didn't do it with Clay on the floor. He wouldn't do it with Clay or KD out there.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah.
Shoot. I don't mean shoot threes. I mean, DeMarcus could shoot if nobody's in his face, right? So the thing is, good thing about Steph Curry is he gives the ball up. Like, if he's a ball hog and he keeps dribbling, like they double, he kick it out. Like, the first thing we showed, DeMarcus Cousins was wide open because everybody paying attention to Clay. What they should do, they should double Clay. I mean, not Clay, they should double Steph Curry when Clay's not in the game, make him get off the ball. And then, make him get off the ball and rotate. Because you're in that zone, you don't know where people at. People could duck in, people could, slash behind you.
And he may not be in the game at all. And Webb, can you take me through Draymond? Because I thought it was interesting yesterday, we're doing the media avail, and he very confidently said, I look forward to dicing it up. And in talking about it, and Vince Carter was saying when we were watching it yesterday, he's the kind of guy, because he can facilitate the way he can, that really you're not normally afraid of, where you feel like you can box and one against Steph. But Draymond having the ball more, how much can he help to eliminate some of that box and one, because he can kind of play almost point guard against that defense?
Well, a couple things. Draymond is the man, and he is going to chop it up. When you're a power forward and you get the ball in space, and it's a guy 2 dribbles in front of you, a guy that can shoot in the corner, you're pretty confident because you know you can draw the defense. So Draymond's the man, and he's going to chop it up. If I was Toronto, though, I would make Draymond score 75 points, period, because he is best when he posts up, makes you think he's going to try to score, and pass it to the man you double from. Why would you go double him any time in the game? He loves passing. He's an unselfish player, and he doesn't shoot as well as some of the other players. And he will chop you up if you put him in a zone. So my thing is, you should play them straight up and just say, Draymond, you're going to have to score everyone. That means when he gets the ball off the pick and roll, let him come to you, because he's going to throw that alley-oop, get the guys behind. But you got to play him honest so that he can't pick away the ways that you're cheating. He knows how guys are going to play him, and the easiest way to manipulate the game is when you have the ball in space as a big fella, and the hardest way is when guys are checking you like you can shoot like Kenny or like you can post up like Shaq just one-on-one, because now you can pay attention to everyone else. And I agree with these guys that everyone's seen that box and one. But my thing is, Andre Iguodala made a tough shot, but at the end of the day, you would pay for him tonight. If you asked this team, we want one guy to take the shot, and it's Steph. Clay on the court, you would point to him and say, we want him to take it. So I think basketball is about choices, and I think the choice they made was anybody but Steph. And it didn't work out because they made it, but I still think that's a strategy with this great team that you got to go with.
And to add on to what C. Webb is saying, Draymond talked about dicing it up. I wouldn't let him dice it up in the full court. When he gets the ball full court, pressure him.
Yes.
Pressure him. I want to see if he has Steph Curry's type handle, because right now he has a free run. He's drawing the defense, Kenny, C. Webb, and he's kicking it. So if you don't want him to dice it up, I will pressure him every time he catches the ball. Don't just let him be, Magic Johnson out there.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for Golden State is pace. They play at a pace that everyone feels comfortable. The other thing is, I don't care who you are, if you don't score 115 points, you're not going to win. So you have to figure out a way to get 115 points. We could talk about boxing ones. We could talk about everything else. That's Milwaukee. That's the Eastern Conference. But when you play against this team, you have to score, because the shots that you actually force them to take, those are the ones they're looking for. They're looking for step-back threes at the hash mark. That is a shot Steph Curry is anticipating to take. Those are the ones that traditionally you force the guys to take.
Normal humans, right?
You have to score the basketball and figure out ways to score it. And in key moments, you have to defend them. But if you don't score 110, 115, game's over.
Now, did you ever have a box and one played against you at any level?
Anybody who's been in the NBA, you're one of the best 300 players in the world.
If you haven't,
you haven't
had the game to cause that.
Sometimes, like any good coach, you ask a question you already know the answer to. So we have footage of that. Kenny's. Do we have the box and one? There's Kenny.
Oh, wow.
There's
Kenny, shots, Kenny. Look at
Listen.
go back to the wide shot,
Hey,
Kenny.
listen.
They getting you, Kenny. Go back to the wide shot.
You
Look
see
at that leg.
But look at this. Look at it.
Archibald Malloy.
Hey, but let me tell you this.
Come
You
on,
see that
Kenny.
Malloy thing? You know what they called me back then? I was the gas station because I filled it up, brother. I walked in. That was 30 when I was the gas
At
station.
least,
Oh, you come in full tank.
All right, we are unleaded early on here in our Game Time Live at the Finals. Steve Kerr and the Warriors might have their biggest challenge yet. Will Clay play? We'll hear from the coach of the Dubs on the other side.